My name is Stevie B, and I'm an alcoholic in recovery. It's so great to be here with you guys, and I'm a proud member of the West Side Men's Group. Nice. It's nice to say that after 10 days. I haven't said that, and it's nice to be in a meeting with you guys. I was away on a cruise with my mom and dad that are here, my wife Sandra, my beautiful wife Sandra. My mom and dad always say that's the way I introduce her, my beautiful wife, and that's the way that I feel. Hey, John, good to see you. I'm going to tell you a couple stories tonight about forgiveness. I'm going to tell you a couple stories tonight about amends. And it's not going to be comfortable tonight. I see that there's a lot of new people in the room, and I pray that you guys take this time to really listen. I pray that you take this as serious as you possibly can. I pray that tonight you listen with ears that you never listened with before. 2 weeks ago, we had an amazing meeting in here, and we discussed the 6th step. And a good friend of mine came up afterwards, and she said to me, "Did you hear about so-and-so?" I said, "No, what? I just saw her in church last week. How's she doing?" And she said to me, she committed suicide. You see, brothers, this is what I want to tell you. This is, even though we don't take ourselves seriously, we need to take our disease seriously. This is life and death. You see, the people that are inside the room right now are the winners. You're already here. You don't have to come to believe. You're already here. There's a whole bunch of scoffers. There's a whole bunch of mockers. There's a whole bunch of people that'll never get in here. And our friend Sherry that just died in the last couple of weeks. She won't be back. So if you think that I'm going to take it easy on the room tonight, there's going to be some soft says. It's not going to be like that, because I believe in the gift of sobriety so sincerely that I believe that every meeting we come to, that as soon as the prayer starts in the beginning, and as soon as it ends at the end, that for that hour we need to be so serious about our sobriety. Text messaging, the phones, what we're doing after the meeting, where we're going to dinner, I think that all pales in comparison to life and death, don't you? Doctor? All right, settle down. Settle down. Now, I also want to say something to you. If you haven't been in a meeting in another part of the country or even another part of this state, if the only thing that you're subjected to, if the only thing that you're blessed is to come to meetings like this, you're not even going to understand how lucky you are. You're not even going to understand the type of meetings that you're involved in. Now, go to a meeting in another place like I went to on the cruise ship while I was away. It was 3 people. 3 people. One lady got sober. She went into a treatment program. She's never been back to AA again. The other lady was a member of another 12-step fellowship. She had a strong program, but she wasn't in AA. And then myself. And I also been to other meetings lately where, and I have sponsees that are visiting tonight. Doug's visiting from New Jersey, and I have a bunch of sponsees that are listening on tape. Sorry, Steve. And they're listening around the country, and they call into me and they let me know that the meetings aren't the same. And I'm going to tell you something. As I'm going around to meetings around, they're not the same. Now, like a fish that doesn't know they're in water because they're already in water, when they get out of water, when a fish gets thrown onto land, or when a fish takes a jump and it gets out, or when a fish gets caught and it's flapping around, and then it realizes, man, that water was precious. I want you to understand that Alcoholics Anonymous, meetings like this, places like this, are rare. So I can imagine if you're hearing this message for the first time, or obviously you're young. I wouldn't say if you're young, because obviously you're young. You might think, well, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I do know what I'm talking about, because I'm going to meetings in different places and I'm hearing stuff that is just bizarre. They're speaking about a program that's not in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. They're speaking about a program that is invented by men and women in the rooms because they're miserable and they want to develop programs around the misery so that it sounds like that's what the program is. But it's not. The big book has the program. It is the program. The fellowship is different. The fellowship like we have with the West Side Men's Group and like what we have at Victory, that's incredible. And the fellowship keeps you excited and it wants you to go to the next meeting and you want to hug your friends and you can't wait to see them. And the fellowship is incredible, but it's not the program. The program is outlined in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and let me tell you, they do a great job with it. Tonight we're going to do a lot of reading, and I know that as soon as I say that, you guys are like, oh. But they describe the 9th step so perfectly in the big book. A couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the 6th and 7th step, I didn't speak a lot about the big book because it's only 2 paragraphs. But when it comes to the 9th step, the power is in the big book. When it comes to the 9th step, when it comes to the promises, the power is in the big book. And we say the promises inside meetings, we'll be amazed before we're halfway. We say them like we're chanting something like Kumbaya and around some campfire. And it's like, it doesn't mean anything anymore. But I'm going to ask you tonight, when we read the promises, that you listen to it with new ears. That you listen to the promises like some of the young people are going to do it tonight. They're going to listen to it for the first time. And I'm going to ask you guys, even John, I'm going to ask you guys that have listened to it for forever, to listen to the promises with new ears. Because when they say that you will be amazed before you're halfway through, they choose the words carefully. That you will be amazed before you're halfway through. And people belittle that. They're like, well, that's, they break it down. They say, you'll be amazed before you're halfway through the 9th step. Yeah, that is true. But what they really mean is that you'll be amazed if you're really doing the 9th step, because nobody that half measures it really does the 9th step. And I don't mean walking through and you see your husband or your wife or your past girlfriend and you walk up to them and you go, that stuff I used to do, I'm sorry for it, and you continue walking. That's not what I mean. I mean when they say make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would harm, injure them or others. I'm talking about actually making appointments, showing up in places that you don't want to, and making amends to people that may not like you. Making amends to people that might hate you. Making amends to people that you destroyed their lives. See, if you're doing that type of program, you will be amazed before you're halfway through, because you're actually in the program, in the middle of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. People that are on the outskirts don't visit people that hate them to make amends. People that are doing this because there's nothing better on television tonight or their DVR broke down, don't do the 9th step. But people that have been fearless and searching in their moral inventory on step 4, people that went and shared it with a sponsor or a mentor or a guide in step 5, people that have asked God to take away their defects of character in 6 and 7, people that wrote down from the 4th step, they go through the 4th step, they go with their sponsor, and the sponsor says, and they say, listen, I need to make amends to Todd, I need to make amends to Sally, I need to make amends to my wife, I need to make amends to my father. People that have written down their amends list and people's names, those people are the winners. Those people are serious about that program. Tony, I'm sure you, I don't know, but I haven't met anyone that goes out during the 9th step amends. I say Tony because Tony has 39 years and he probably has heard that, but I haven't. I haven't heard anyone that's in the middle of the program doing things that are just not in our comfort zone. Nobody wants to walk up to someone and say, can I speak to you? A person that hates you, a person that you've harmed, a person you've cheated on, a person you stole from. May I speak with you? That's the last thing that an alcoholic or a recovering drug addict wants to do. We spend our whole lives escaping. We spend our whole lives shunning responsibilities. No one wants to meet head on their responsibilities. And yet they say that the miracles happen when you get through this, halfway through the 9th step. That we will know a new freedom and a new happiness. We say that in the meetings. People read it at the end of the meetings like it's a Chinese fortune cookie. You'll know a new freedom and a new happiness. Won't regret the past. With to shut the door on it. But I want to tell you that when they say a new freedom and a new happiness, they really mean that. You see, this specific step comes from the Bible. This specific step is handed out from God. This specific step is done in all major religions. We're not talking about one religion. We're talking about all major religions. Confession and then making amends. Confession and restitution. Meeting the people that you've harmed head on. All major deals around the world. And when it comes to Alcoholics Anonymous, we want to sometimes think maybe we can skip this one. But the people that choose not to skip this step, That's where the miracle happens. Now, let's just say this is your first meeting tonight, or you're new, or you're in a treatment center, or you're just coming into Alcoholics Anonymous and you wonder exactly what I'm talking about, or you think, what is this whole thing about making amends? Let me backtrack for a second. Every one of us comes in as a newcomer. Let me just see a show of hands. Has anybody in here ever come in as a newcomer? Okay, so obviously there's been some other people newcomers. What that means is that everyone comes in here desperate and new. Some people receive white chips with lattes in their hand. Other people are shaking as they walk up here. It all depends on... Some people come here in Ferraris. Other people come here in cardboard boxes. Everybody in here has a different bottom. My first time around, I came in when I was 23 years old. My parents sent me to treatment. I came in with my Cavariccis and my 4 gold chains. I'm Italian from Long Island. I had my slick back hair when I had more hair. And I was wearing I had my nice clothes on. My parents let me pack a bag, and I showed up in Minnesota, and I was like, I have arrived. I was 25 years before the situation ever came into this world. I showed up in Minnesota, and I was like, I have arrived. And the counselors looked over at me, and my counselor, Tom Cunningham, he looked over at me, and he had written a book called King Baby. And he said to me, I have a perfect book for you. It's called King Baby. And I said, what do you mean by that, King Baby? I'm nobody's King Baby. I'm here for recovery. And I thought I was the God's gift to recovery. And I was 22, and I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And a couple years down the road, I relapsed into crack cocaine. I'm not going to get into that because that's Alcoholics Anonymous. My Cavariccis were gone. My gel was gone. My hair was a mess. I was rolling myself up in carpets in people's homes so nobody could find me. I thought I had a great hiding place. Thought nobody could see me rolled up in the carpet. One-eyed, sticking out of the carpet. My pizzazz was gone. Next thing you know, I'm in treatment again. Not so fun for the third time. Not so cool. No carry-on bags. No Gucci suitcase. Walking in there with my public shopping bag. Got my underwear in one bag. My one t-shirt, my flip-flops. It's not cool when you're in Minnesota with flip-flops. It's negative 40. Hit a different bottom. I didn't think the steps applied to me. I thought the steps were very cool. I didn't think there was a good concept. But I didn't really think that was applicable to my life. I'm kind of a college guy and had a lot of chains. Hair sticking out of my, that kind of thing. I thought to myself, this is maybe a little bit, you guys are taking it a little too seriously, this steps. I relapsed again after that. Called my parents, breaking their heart. I was dating a beautiful girl named Jamie. They didn't know addiction. I wreaked havoc on that house. Wreaked havoc on that girl's family. Wreaked havoc on her parents. Broken promises. Finally got into another halfway house, and on my way to that halfway house, I was going to make a right or I was going to make a left. Right was going to go to North Minneapolis. Left was going to go to North Minneapolis, which was the bad part of town. Right was going to take me to Crossroads halfway house. Right was going to be Crossroads halfway house. Left was going to be North Minneapolis. I decided to go to North Minneapolis to see if any of my dealers were there to show them how good I looked after a couple months of treatment. Showed up all beefcaked. They're like, hey, Steve, what's up? So good to see you. You look good. And that was my childhood. That was the way I grew up in Alcoholics Anonymous. Then I was in detox again. And then I was broken. You see, but along that way, I created wreckage that I can't make amends for in South Florida. I did things to families in in North Minneapolis. I did things to families in North towns there that I can't